The NHL and Adidas have launched their full set of NHL retro jerseys. Today we're going to take a look at each one and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. We'll take a look at those coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, the NHL Reverse Retro Jersey Series, which has been building up here in anticipation over the last number of days and weeks, has finally been fully revealed. We got to have a look at all of the jerseys just a little while ago, so I want to take a look at them here with you today, give you my thoughts, see what you think of them as well. I'm not going to get into ranking them. I find it just too difficult. There are some that I really like, there's some that I find that are okay, and there's some that I don't really like either, and I'll tell you about each one as we go through. But ranking them 1 through 31, I just find too challenging, and there's going to be a lot ones that kind of lumped together that would be really just, too difficult to really judge between. So let's just go through. I'm going to go through by division rather than go through alphabetical just to change things up here a little bit, and I'll give you a look at each one and give you my thoughts. Now, first up, we're going to start with the Atlantic Division. We'll start with the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, who are throwing it back to 2004, which, of course, was their Stanley Cup year, first in franchise history, before the current season. So, of course, they're going back here to a blue jersey, of course, which is obviously their nice base layer. And, of course, you get the lightning bolt logo there in the middle. Obviously, it's a really nice, pretty sharp-looking jersey overall. Nothing too spectacular. I do like it. Not sure it's one of my favorites, but I do like the jersey. It's a throwback to their original Stanley Cup victory, and of course they were the current Stanley Cup champions as well. They likely would have had to submit all this before they won, so clearly things worked out in that regard here as well. Now let's look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, who will say they're throwing it back to 1970. So of course you get a lot of blue on blue in this jersey. You get the blue numbers, which I'm not real sure how I feel about it. I think it might be too blue. The logo you're seeing there on the crest, obviously, is a logo they used a lot from the late 60s. I mean, the basic design itself is one that they used for a really long stretch of time from the early 70s, basically right up through to the early 90s. I think it was a good stretch of time. There's a long time that they used that. Obviously, like I said, I don't mind the front of the jersey. I like the logo looks okay. I like the shoulders. But on you can't really see a great look here of the back, but you can see on the sides that the numbers and the lettering is blue on blue, and I think it's just too much. I'm kind of not really sure what I think of this Leaf jersey, to be honest. Next up, let's take a look at the retro jersey for the Montreal Canadiens, who are throwing it back to 1970. Of course, they were a dominant team back in the 70s. The Habs jersey here with the reverse retro, they're now having a blue base with the red stripe going through the middle here of the logo. Clearly, for the most part, they've had red and white jerseys. So this blue jersey, it really does reverse the colors. I think it's pretty sharp looking. I like the look of it. I like the shoulders. I like the collar, looks good. I'm not sure I'm going to rank this Habs jersey as one of my faves, but it's certainly one that I really like and would certainly put it at least in the top half of the league. Now let's take a look now at the Detroit Red Wings, and this one is pretty bland. Sorry, Detroit, but I think you could have done better. This is just way too much white, in my opinion. They did add a little bit of silver from the Centennial Classic jersey, but of course, I understand the original 6 teams sometimes don't stray too much from their original designs and all that. But really, for the most part, I don't really like this jersey. It's just too bland. They say they're throwing it back to the late 90s, of course, when they won back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. So I do kind of understand, but just a lot of white and just not enough pizzazz. I think they could have used a little bit more creativity here on this one. Now, next up, let's take a look at the Buffalo Sabre. We're going to back here to the year 2000 with their old red and blue jersey, which they've now turned white and yellow on the arms. Of course, I do like this jersey. Again, not one of the ones I'm going to kind of classify here as one of my favorites, but I do like it. It's pretty clean, pretty slick, and a pretty overall relatively good job here by the Buffalo Sabres. Now, let's take a look next at the Florida Panthers. Now, the Florida Panthers, I think, actually did a really good job. I really like this Panthers jersey. Of course, they're throwing things back to their expansion year of 1996, reverting to the colors. Of course, we get the Big Cat logo, which I'm really fond of as well. So you get the blue base. Overall, I really like this Panthers jersey. Very, very well done. Sometimes you can just reverse the colors and really kind of go with a bit of a classic look with an iconic jersey and really shake things up in a nice way. And I must say, I really like this Panthers jersey very much. One of my favorites amongst the Atlantic Division, at least. Next up, we've got the Ottawa Senators, who already kind of went retro with their rebrand and bringing back the old logo. So the Senators here, obviously, going with the 2D logo. We have a red jersey for the Senators, which is just basically an inversion of colors from the jerseys that they already released. So I like them. I do think that going back to this logo was a good move. I like the rebrand. Just not a ton of creativity here. Obviously, with what they already were doing, kind of understanding why they went this road, and I can see this jersey probably sticking around here, obviously as an alternate for the Senators, but just not a ton of creativity. So I like it. I'm not sure that I love it, though. Next up, you've got the Boston Bruins, who say they're throwing things back here to 1990, and this Bruins jersey is one of the nicer ones, probably my favorite amongst the Atlantic Division. This Bruins jersey is very nice. Of course, you get the gold or yellow base, which is really sharp, black and white stripes along the arms, and I just really like this jersey. I think they could make this one of their permanent ones, to be honest, as a permanent alternate. I really think that the Bruins and Adidas have done a fantastic job here with kind of changing up the colors from the past, but yet keeping some of that iconic design. In the yellow base here just really looks good. I really like this Bruins jersey a lot. Now let's jump over to the Metropolitan Division, and we'll take a look first here at the Philadelphia Flyers, who were throwing things back to the mid-90s when we had the Legion of Doom line and Eric Lindros terrorizing the NHL for the Philadelphia Flyers. You still have a pretty basic Flyers orange base here. Of course, you get the arms and shoulders are a little bit different with the black, but pretty clean jersey. Again, I like it. Not a ton of creativity, but based on what the Flyers have done in the past, I do kind of like the small changes that they've made here. But overall, like I said, nothing too glorious, nothing too fancy, but they didn't really screw anything up either. So I like it. Again, I don't really love it though. Next up, you've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are throwing things back to 1997. They say, of course, that's back when you had Lemieux and Jagr on the ice, so it was quite a dynamic duo. Those two were one heck of a team, and the Penguins were, a team emerging back then. This Penguins jersey, though, to me, is just a little bit bland. I'm not really a big fan of the lettering going down on a diagonal like that. I don't think you can really read it all the greatest from a distance. It is a white jersey now. I don't mind them going to a white jersey in this case. I just think they could have picked something maybe a little bit different. I think it's just a little bit too bland, so I'm not really a huge fan of this one for Pittsburgh. Next up, you get the Washington Capitals, who are throwing things back to 1997, and this Capitals jersey, I must say, is pretty sharp. I really like it. They're going back here to the old Eagle logo. Of course, the original jerseys back in the late 90s were more of a navy blue, so of course, you reverse this to the red base layer, which I think looks really sharp with the other colors tied in here in that old logo. I think it's a beautiful job, and this Capitals jersey is one of my preferred ones in this division and across the NHL. Next up, we get the Carolina Hurricanes. They're throwing things back to the old Hartford Whalers. A bit of a heritage jersey here. We've seen them bring back the whale stuff in the past year as well, and it's gone over relatively well. Of course, with the Whalers jersey, you have the gray base this time, and they say that gray was the one color that both franchises kind of shared here, so kind of ties the two together. So obviously you get the gray base with the old logo. They even have some of the old patches like Pucky the Whale on the side as well. Overall, I always really was a big fan of the Whalers gear, so to me this is a great job, and I really like this one as well. The New York Islanders are up next, and they're throwing things back to the 1980s, of course, when they were winning consecutive Stanley Cups. So again, here with Lou Lamoriello in charge, not a huge really surprise that they didn't really do a whole lot of anything drastic here. This is a pretty nice looking, pretty basic jersey. There's nothing to really dislike about it, except for the fact that a lot of people would have liked to have seen some more creativity. I know some fans are big fans of the Fisherman logo. Some really don't like it, but really not a huge surprise here with Lou in charge that it's a pretty basic jersey. Again, I think it's a nice jersey. There's nothing to really, to really comment on it that's terrible or anything like that. It just would have been nice to see some creativity, a little bit more than what they've done here besides some of the subtle changes. Next up, we got the New York Rangers, and we're bringing back the Liberty jersey, which was a really nice jersey, and I'm glad to see the Rangers go down this road. This version of the Liberty jersey is a little cleaner than the old ones. I got the nice blue arms, which I really like here as well. And of course, you get the red and white stripes here on the arms. I really like this Rangers jersey. I was a big fan of the Liberty jerseys before, and I really like these ones as well. Certainly one of my favorites amongst this collection. Next up, you've got the New Jersey Devils, and for the first time, they're going to have a jersey that's not red or white. They're going green, which has been a color that's been involved in many of their uniforms here in the past, but now with green being the base layer here. They're throwing things back to 1982 when they first arrived in New Jersey after moving from Colorado. So obviously, they're keeping a lot of the same iconic look that they've had for a long time. Obviously, reversing the colors though, having green as the base. And I really like this look here for New Jersey as well. Next up, you've got the Columbus Blue Jackets throwing things back to their expansion year of the year 2000 and the old original CBJ logo. Of course, they've gone with some different logos here over the years, but they're going back to the original one. Of course, now they have a red base layer for this jersey, which looks relatively nice. You still have a lot of the white and the blue in there. Again, I like it. I'm not sure it's one of my favorites though, but I do like the fact how they tied in a lot of their original stuff from the year 2000 here and just changed up the colors. It's yet a simple design, yet effective, just not one of the nicer ones in the collection here in my opinion. Now let's jump over to the Central Division and take a look at their jersey. First up, let's take a look at the St. Louis Blues, throwing things back to 1995, but of course we reversed the colors. We now have a red Blues jersey, which is very different. I do like this Blues jersey very much. I like the red. Not sure that I really love it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my faves in the collection, but I do like the red here. Of course, you still have the iconic logo there with a lot of the yellow tied in. So, pretty nice jersey overall, in my opinion. Except I'm not sure that it's one of my favorites, but it's pretty well done. Next up is the Chicago Blackhawks, and they're throwing things way back further than anybody else in this collection, and they're throwing things to 1940, way back then. Of course, this is an iconic jersey, and unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of great pictures here during the reveal from Adidas. Obviously, these are some images that I found here online afterwards, which many believe, especially the one you see here of the front. That's the logo from the early 40s that they believe is there, because you really can't get a great look at it during the reveal, but you get the black jersey with the white lettering and white numbers on the back. Overall, pretty sleek looking jersey. I do like the look of it. I just wish they would have given us a little bit better view of the front during the reveal. Next up, you get the Dallas Stars, and it's a throwback here to 1999 when they won the Stanley Cup. Obviously, this jersey, to me, like the Red Wings, is a little bit just bland. You still have the nice green logo and a white jersey, which is fine, but then you get the gray, it's kind of silvery lettering and stuff, and it's just too bland. I'm not really fond of this Dallas Stars jersey, to be completely honest. Next up, though, you have the Minnesota Wild, who certainly are incorporating the old Minnesota North Stars into this logo. You get a lot of the greens and yellows mixing together here. To me, I think this is a really nice jersey. I really like this one, but I've really been a fan of a lot of the Wild logos and gear here over the years as well. I really like a lot of the ones that incorporate the green, which is not common enough here in my opinion, but obviously depends on a lot of the heritage of the area that we're talking about. But this Minnesota Wild jersey kind of throws things back to this North Star days, but incorporates some of the newer stuff for the Wild as well. So it's good mix between the old and the modern, and I like it very much. Next up, you've got the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, they're throwing things back to 79, which is their original logo here, original entering the NHL. Of course, they reversed the colors. You now have a gray base layer. They've recolored the logo, but obviously it's the same kind of style, same kind of colors, just reversed. So it's simple yet effective, and I do like this jersey here for Winnipeg. Now next up, we've got the Colorado Avalanche, and this one's very different, and really depending on how long you've been following hockey, you may or may not like this one, but it's a throwback to their days of when they were in the Quebec Nordiques. Of course, they were the Nordiques for a long time before they moved to Denver to become the Avalanche. So they incorporate the old Nordiques logo. We get the fleur-de-lis from Quebec on there, which was originally an advertisement way back for tourism for Quebec, way back when they were first putting those jerseys out. But obviously, they got the modern Avalanche colors in there as well, which is nice. So it's something that the Avalanche haven't done. We've seen the Hurricanes incorporate the Whalers, and up until now, we have not seen the Avalanche incorporate the old Nordiques gear or logo in any capacity. So it's nice to see, and I personally really like this one. Now next up, we have the Pacific Division. Let's start off here with the Vegas Golden Knights, and you might be asking, why do the Vegas get to do a reverse retro when they've only been in the league for a few years? And this reverse retro basically is kind of a throwback to Vegas hockey history. You can look back at the Las Vegas Thunder from the IHL days, for example. You have a red jersey with the Starburst logo, and you get the current Vegas Golden Knight logo as a patch here on the shoulder as well. So I'm not really sure how I feel about a red Vegas jersey, but I mean, some places can pull it off. Like I didn't mind the St. Louis one. Not really sure how I feel about this one though, to be honest. I think I might have to rank it as one of my lower ones here on the list if I were to do a ranking. Next up, you've got the Arizona Coyotes. Coyotes jerseys, a throwback to 1998 based on one of their old alternate jerseys that they've had. I do like the coloring here. Not real sure about the overall, like the bottom layer. I'm not real sure that I really care for that. You can see the cactus and everything down there. That part, not real fond of. The logo, I'm just not sure it looks great with that color scheme. I like the purple part of it. I just overall, I'm not really sure how to feel about this one. Not sure I really like it all that much. Next up, you've got the Edmonton Oilers throwing it back to 1979. Of course, they came into the NHL and they were a pretty strong team from the get-go. Of course, they had to battle with the Islanders before they kind of became the team's top team and won numerous Stanley Cups. But this jersey is a throwback to the days, I guess you could call the glory days, when Gretzky and Messier and Coffey, etc. were dominating the NHL in these jerseys. There are some differences though, obviously with the shoulders and the striping here a little bit, but it's a classic jersey with some minor tweaks to kind of reverse some of the coloring. And overall, it's kind of like I said about the Islanders. It's a nice jersey. There's nothing to really dislike about it. Not a ton of creativity, but when you're throwing things back to the retro days or the glory days, it certainly works for that capacity. Next up, let's take a look at their provincial rival, the Calgary Flames, and they went a little bit more bold here than a lot of teams, and I really like this Flames jersey. We're bringing back Blasty, the Flaming Horse here for the Calgary Flames on a black jersey. I really like this concept. I was a fan of the jersey from before, and I really like what they've done with it here now. A great jersey from the past, from the time that the Flames were having a lot of success, and I like the black, I like the logo, and of course how they tie in the red and the yellow here as well. I really like this. This is certainly one of my favorites from the collection. Next up, you get the Los Angeles Kings, and they're throwing things back here to really a couple of different eras of the Kings' history and kind of mixing them together. You get a combination of the old days with the purple and gold, and then along with the 90s mix of the silver and black as well with the white. So you get a good mix of jersey history kind of mixed together to create this concept for the Los Angeles Kings. The logo itself has been recolored a bit. You get the nice purple with the yellow, and it looks really sharp. I think the Kings did an extraordinary job here. This is certainly one of my favorites as well. Next up, we have the San Jose Sharks. Now, of course, you've not seen me on camera for this one. There was a bit of a camera malfunction, so I'm just recording a voiceover here just so we can take a look at this jersey. But something went wrong with my camera while looking at this one. So we get the gray base. Obviously, we're so used to the teal, but now we have the teal as a secondary color here. And the striping, you have a combination of teal and black collar. With the classic San Jose logo with a bit of a white background. So overall, again, a case of reversing some of the colors around. I like the jersey. Nothing too fancy. Not sure I absolutely love it, but I'm sure Sharks fans will probably like this jersey. And again, this is one of the ones that I would classify as good, but not awesome. And last but not least here, you got the Anaheim Ducks bringing back Wild Wing. Of course, this was an alternate jersey from the early 90s that they used only a handful of times. Obviously, Wild Wing in the Mighty Duck days. You still get the Mighty Ducks logo here as well on the patch, on the arm. I'm not sure how to feel about this one. It's certainly one of the ones you could kind of classify as a little bit fun, but when you look at it, I just don't know. I mean, the colors are okay, but just the way the Wild Wing design is on the crest of the jersey, I'm just not really sure how to feel about it. I know Ducks fans may like it, but I think it's one of those cases, if you're not a Ducks fan, you really might not appreciate that history there. So again, I'm not really sure that I rank it as one of my favorites amongst this collection, but I certainly appreciate their creativity and boldness here to go with something a little bit different. So that is the NHL Reverse Retro Series NHL jerseys that are just out here. They are for sale here shortly. So let me know your thoughts on which ones are your favorites. Amongst all the ones we looked at here today, I must say teams like the Rangers, the Bruins, the Flames, the Kings, the Wild, they're probably some of my most favorite ones. So let me know which ones you think are the nicest, and we'll discuss further down in the comments. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.